The Shogun finale leaves some unanswered questions regarding the fate of one of its main characters, John Blackthorne. Since arriving in Japan at the beginning of Shogun, the Anjin has been trying to find a way out of the country despite becoming the glorified Hatamoto of Lord Toranaga. As Toranaga's master plan for Crimson Sky is finally revealed in the final moments of Shogun Episode 10, Blackthorne ends up being one of the few people in Toranaga's company that survives until the end following the shocking death of Mariko in the penultimate episode of Shogun. At the end of Shogun, Lord Toranaga reveals that he now has all the pieces he needs to take on Ishido's army in the Battle of Sekigahara. Through a carefully designed strategy that would not have been possible without the sacrifices of Hiramatsu and Mariko, as well as the apparent misfortune of his son Nagakado, Toranaga's secret alliance with Mariko's old friend Okiba no Kata ended up being the Achilles heel in Ishido's plans to end Toranaga's efforts of becoming shogun. Toranaga also requests that Blackthorne build his army a fleet of ships after saving Blackthorne from ending his own life. Does John Blackthorne leave Japan? Toranaga does not believe Blackthorne will ever leave Japan. A close-up of a concerned John Blackthorne in Shogun Episode 10. After Blackthorne nearly takes his own life in protest of Toranaga's treatment of the villagers in Ajiro, he is encouraged by Toranaga to build a new ship after his old one has been destroyed. In his final conversation with Yabushige, Toranaga says that Blackthorne is not fated to ever leave Japan, which means that the visions that Blackthorne had of growing old in England would not actually come true. Shogun Episode 10 heavily implies that despite Blackthorne losing Mariko and revealing to Toranaga that he came to Japan to use him in the first place, Blackthorne won't be going anywhere. Throughout the Shogun finale, John experiences visions of himself as an old man on his deathbed in the future. However, based on the turn of events in the final episode of Shogun, it appears that none of Blackthorne's visions would never actually happen. Like Mariko, Blackthorne was originally never meant to leave Osaka, but Mariko exchanged his ship for his life, which allowed Blackthorne to return to Toranaga in Ajiro at the end of Shogun. Because of Mariko, through the help of Father Martin, Blackthorne was permitted to leave the city. He took Mariko's cross with him, which he holds in his vision that turns out to be untrue. Why John Blackthorne had visions of future self? Blackthorne would have never gotten over Mariko's death in England. John Blackthorne looking down in Shogun Episode 10. While it's not entirely clear what Blackthorne's visions in Shogun Episode 10 meant, the fact that they did not ended up coming true makes them more of an indication of how Blackthorne thought his life would be if he had ever returned to England. During Blackthorne's visions, he lies on his bed as his grandchildren look at his sword, which is placed on display on a wall, holding the cross that Mariko had given to him. This implies that Blackthorne's entire life would have been plagued and haunted by Mariko's death, even if he had made it back to his homeland as he had intended to at the start of the series. The episode title, A Dream of a Dream, points to the reason why Blackthorne has these visions of his future self in the Shogun finale. If Blackthorne had gone back to England, he would never have gotten over Mariko and perhaps never would have found a true understanding of God or his life's purpose. Even though he continues to be manipulated by Toranaga at the end of Shogun, he would never have met Mariko, who is arguably the love of his love, if he had not met Toranaga. His dream of leaving Japan was overcast by his larger dream of serving Toranaga, like Mariko had.